Hello, everybody. Welcome back to E20 Zone TV. West Ham United 3. Wolves 0. To my right is Clivus. Clivus, how are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad yourself.
Buzzing, mate. Absolute buzzing. Tired, don't get me wrong. Hectic
Yeah.
weekend, birthday and all that. But this is the last show of the weekend and it's going to be a good one. And I can feel it in my water. What do you make of it, though, Clive, on today's performance? Because I didn't see that coming.
I think after Thursday it was a case of, can we do the same style of football, consistently?
Yeah.
Um, and obviously today it was proven that we can. Uh, it just makes you worry about when the AFCON starts because obviously we lose Kudus for a solid 4 weeks come the turn of the new year. So
Mm.
I'm looking at the sort of long term point of view of it, but yeah, I think it was a very good performance overall. And I mean, the thing is, if the rumours are true that we're going to dip into the transfer window for once in January, which is a rarity for us, and get rid of a couple of players and bring in a couple, it makes you wonder, you know, are we going to get Moyes to sign a new contract, because it makes you wonder who these players are for. Because you do have to question, if we do buy players and it's not with Moyes in mind, it's like, do we have someone in mind? I think there's a lot in the background that we need to figure out.
I hear you, mate. Dean, how you doing, mate?
Well, I'm buzzing after today. I'm sure you are as well, mate.
Yeah, I am, mate. I am. Don't get me wrong. I don't ever see West Ham blitz teams, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't see that one coming today. I really didn't, especially after last week. Give me your thoughts, Dean, on today.
Yeah, I was delighted with the result. I wasn't really that bothered how we won,
Mm.
particularly after the Fulham game. I just think we need to get the 3 points and bounce back. But when you consider how well we played against Freiburg, we sort of carried that momentum in our
Yeah.
forward a little bit. The lineups were a bit similar, so I'm delighted with that. But tell you what, I just can't stop thinking about this cup game after watching Liverpool today. I'm thinking we're going to do a job on them, you know.
Yeah, I know, mate. I know. I will actually speak about Liverpool at the end, but I'm going to be honest. For me, before we get started, I just West Ham look different for me over the last sort of two games, Freiburg and today. They just look like a different side to what they have been over the last sort of 6 weeks. I think we've been getting away with it to a point, but today we come out and we was up for it straight away from minute one. And don't forget, we did play Thursday in a big game, right? Especially for us, and we Wolves had a 3 weeks, so it is mad. But let's get started with these player ratings. Let's get these done. Start with this man, Dean. I'll let you go first. Give me your assessment and rating for Fabianski, please, mate.
I thought we did well. Well, obviously we kept a clean sheet in the league, which is something
Yeah,
we haven't done at all or rarely this season. I
yeah.
don't know. Have we had another one, lads?
I
One Sheffield
think we
United.
have, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that don't really count. But
Other
I
than
thought he
that,
looked all
Nito.
right. I think Areola was on the bench, right? Which means he
Yeah.
was fit to play Areola if he wanted to. So does that mean he's gone back to Fab
I
number one?
No, 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 no. I don't think that's the case. I think he's been protected because, let's say his wrist is fine. I wouldn't be surprised, because it's a wrist injury, that they're just gone, let's just wait another week, let it strengthen up fully. Something along those lines, because the chances of a goalkeeper getting injured is slim. And if it does happen, how many minutes would he have played, for instance? So
Mm.
fit enough to be on the bench, but not fit enough to maybe start. I don't think it will make a change on who's the number one goalkeeper. Watch me be
Uh,
wrong.
yeah. What should be wrong? What'd you make of him, Dean, today, Fabianski?
Yeah, I thought he was good. I mean, when he first came in for the Spurs game,
Yeah.
I was a bit worried, especially at half time. But no, it just feels a bit like the old days, with Fab in goal. So I think I'll just give him a 7. I don't think there was many spectacular saves, but
Mm.
when called upon, he did what he had to, and he kept clean sheets. So I'll give him a 7.
Yeah, I actually agree with you, mate. One thing I will say, commands his box very well, Fabianski. Like with Ariolo, he doesn't, and that's a bit like when you've got that sort of reassurance of him coming out and being cool under pressure. It is good. Yeah, I won't mind short and sweet. 7 out of 10. What you saying, Clive?
Made an important save against Mateus Cunha. Like, what was it, midway through the first half,
Mm.
and I enjoyed I enjoyed the amount of, like you say, the command in the box in terms of every time you knew the ball was hoofed in the air, you knew that Fabs had somehow shouted, "It's mine," or whatever it would be. And you just knew he was going to get it. And I think that's something we do fail with Areola a little bit. I do think Areola is the better all-round goalkeeper, but in the sense of protecting the ball the way that Fabs does, it's a bit different. So yeah, he gets a 7 as well.
Fair enough, mate. We'll move on to this man, Vladimir Coufal. What you saying?
Who started,
mate?
Go on, Dan. I'll let you go first, mate.
Yeah, I do like Coufal a lot. I mean, his position in the team is quite safe. Like, I wouldn't feel comfortable Johnson there. I wouldn't want Kehrer there. So he doesn't really got that pressure if someone's come and take his place. I thought it was all right today. I remember in like the first minute, Wolves pumped the ball forward and he was a bit under pressure and he's calm. He took a touch and then he cleared it away. And then he sort of set the tone for the game. Again, we kept a clean sheet. I'm happy to give him... Well, I don't know, because Emerson on the other side, I think always looks better. So wherever I give Coufal, Emerson's got to be higher. So we'll come to him in a bit. I'll go 7 as well.
For me, I don't know. Like he makes silly errors like today with like nearly knocking the geezer out.
The elbow. I was about to say, but for me, I know my rating because he's a lucky boy to stay on that pitch tonight.
He is lucky. Today. And what it is, when you look at Emerson, you look at him, it's night and day between the pair of them. Like which one's like miles ahead than the other one. Yeah. I'm going to give him a high 6 today, just not 7. I know we kept a clean sheet and all that. He's lucky to stay on the pitch. Certain times in certain moments, he loses his nut a bit, and that's a bit of a problem. That really is. But yeah, high 6. What are you saying, Clive?
Yeah, high 6 as well. He was lucky to stay on the pitch, as I say. Got correctly yellow carded at the end. So yeah, I think high 6. He didn't look too bad. He looked good pressing forward. Had a bit about him, but yeah, a bit of a lucky boy tonight.
Oh, fair enough, mate. We're all high 6s all round. Kurt Zouma, what are you saying, D?
Well, he got that yellow card, didn't he, in the game?
Yeah.
Good to have him back in the team, though, after all that happened in his personal life. It's good to have. I do feel a lot more confident when Zouma's with Aguerd. I think when Aguerd's with Mavropanos, I don't feel safe anytime someone attacks.
Yeah.
But he's good in the air when it's opposition corners. But that booking... I don't know, but again, I just keep coming back to we actually kept a clean sheet and we don't usually do that. And I think if you're a defender, that's what you're paid to do. Right? Yeah. That's number one job. By hook or by crook, like Coufal was lucky to stay on, but, you know, it kept the ball out of the net ultimately. I'm happy. I don't know. I think I'm just going to give the ball a 7 because they kept it tight at the back. What about you lot?
He irritated me. In Zouma, like he done a good thing setting up the sort of like assist for the first goal. I think it was like the pass into Paqueta or the second goal. I can't remember which one it was, but he done well there. The foul, the yellow card is careless, right? He gave away a chance in the first half where Wolves were breaking on us, and a better team with better players and a bit more pace about them. They was in. I'm not convinced with Zouma. I know what people say about him. I get it. But I'm not convinced. Like he just doesn't. Like I feel comfortable when the balls are coming in because I know he can header them, and I know Greg can't. Other than that, on the ground, I'm just not. I think he's a bit laboured at times, and that's a bit of a problem for me. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm going to give him the same as Coufal. Yeah. No, tell the lie. I will give him just a 7. I will give him just a 7. Yeah, because he got the sort of assist. Like mini assist for one of the goals. So he gets just a 7, but it's by the skin of his teeth, though. I'm going to say that. Clive, what you saying?
I was going to say he won the ball for the second goal, didn't he? So for me, that's the reason he'd get a 7, I guess. I mean, what I would say is he also carried the ball from basically just on the outer of our box all the way into their box and got ourselves a corner as well. Not bad for someone who has just got long legs and doesn't know what he's doing with them half the time, but I mean, to be honest, Wolves just didn't look like their usual self. I know they made a bit of quite a few changes with their back four and stuff, but You know, it made Zouma look world class when he was going forward, which was quite ironic. But yeah, he gets a 7.
7 for you. We'll move on to this man. Now for Aguerd. Mixed bag for him over this season so far, Dean. Some people say he's no good. Some people say he's just having a bit of a rocky patch. What are you saying for Aguerd?
I think he's had a rocky patch for 18 months.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced, mate. And
No.
I think that's part of the reason why Mavropanos came in. But I'm not convinced by him either at the moment. So it's a tough situation. I don't think we'll probably replace Craig Dawson, if I'm honest. I mean, I know he was back there today, but I don't know. It's too many mistakes, especially in the air. Not today, obviously. Again, like I keep saying, clean sheet. So I imagine towards high 6, 7. But I don't know if I'm convinced by this guy. I don't know, because we watched Dawson for a few years and never felt so confident with someone that you wouldn't expect it from with Dawson. I think Aguerd's good with long range passes. He's left-footed, isn't he, as well?
Yeah.
But I don't know, mate. We'll see how the defence gets on when Aguerd goes to the AFCON, because Zouma will be alongside Mavropanos, I imagine, for quite a bit.
Yeah.
But I'm going to give him a high 6 today.
High 6 for you, mate. Mixed bag for me. Yeah. 1 minute he's good, 1 minute he's bad, 1 minute he's average. Yeah. I thought today was all right. I'm going to be straight. I thought he was decent today. I thought he done everything all right. There was no errors for any goals. He defended pretty well. So I'm probably going to agree with you, Dean. High 6 for me, just not 7. Like, Wolves, what do Wolves really do? Like spurts, like spells of just having a few attacks and then fading away. Do you know what I'm saying? But yeah, high 6 for me. Clive, what you saying, man?
Made a good headed clearance in the end of the first half and saved Soucek after his awful pass with a good interception. So for me, on those two bases, he gets a low 7.
Low 7 for you.
I think in the long term, I'd like to see Aguerd with Mavropanos. I think them two, during like Freiburg and a couple of other appearances, they've been good together. But obviously Mavropanos had a rocky start. He had 1 good game, then 2 really rubbish games. But I think since then he's come back and been good. So I think with Aguerd going to AFCON in the beginning of the year, I think Mavropanos could nick his positioning.
Yeah, I hear you, mate. Next up, Emerson. This guy's a breath of fresh air by the left. I'm going to say that. What are you saying, Dean, for Emerson?
I love Emerson.
Yeah.
Can you believe Cresswell was starting ahead of him for most of last season? It's meant to win it.
I know, it is a little bit, yeah.
I think he's class, but you think back, he won the Euros of Italy at left back. So he's obviously half decent. We should have known that when we got him. I think he's brilliant. I think if it wasn't for people like Kudus and Bowen, I think it'd be in Hammer of the Year shouts for me, Emerson. I really do. I thought it was fantastic. He's such a threat going forward. I think I'd give him an 8.
I'm going to give him a high. Oh, yeah.
A low 8.
Yeah, he's. I must admit, when he plays West Ham, it's night and day. When West Ham play without him, we look crap. We've got no outlet. Proved it the other week. When he plays, we look completely different sides, especially going forward from like a defensive position. I'm going to give him a high 7, just not an 8 for me. Right? It's just he hasn't made the 8 mark. But I'll tell you what, £13 million. Rob Newman, thank you very much. You know what I mean? No one mentions about him. No one really mentions about Paqueta, but Rob Newman was the man who picked them up. And listen, brilliant signing. £13 million, high 7. Clive, what you saying?
Yeah, he gets a 7 from me. Looked always strong in terms of the front foot. I enjoyed the silky little footwork between him and Paqueta down that left side, especially in the first half. It was really nice to see the lovely little bits of one-touch football. But I'm saving my higher ratings for those that are in the final third, so to speak. But yeah, he gets a solid 7 from me.
Solid 7 for you. Moving on to this man, Edson Alvarez. What do you make of him, Dean, so far this season?
I think we didn't fully appreciate him until he missed the game the other day. And then you see what West Ham are like without Alvarez. I mean, this guy's class. He's absolute class. He goes box to box. We see that the other day with a goal he scored.
Yeah.
I think he puts a lot of tackles and a lot of dirty work that a lot of people don't really write home about. He's a bit of an unsung hero in there. And again, you don't notice what he does until he's at the side. Bit of not a steady Eddie, but I think he's like one of the first names on the team sheet when fit. I thought he was good today. Not as far forward as the other day.
Yeah.
But I think I give him a 7.
I like him. I do. I've sort of backed him up from the moment he arrived. I knew a bit about him at Dortmund, and obviously a few people who come on this channel have said about Alvarez for a little while. I think it proved it the other day when we didn't have him against Fulham, and he's like the only natural DM, someone who just sits there and just marshals like a good one. He's just a breath of fresh air sometimes, and I do look at him and I think if you can get someone next to him, like i.e. another defensive midfielder of equal or better ability, I think we're cooking. Today, got subbed. I give him a strong 7. I thought he was decent today. I thought he was just when you don't see Alvarez and he just does his stuff. That's the best thing about it. Do you know what I mean? Because if you keep seeing him, then it's a bit of a problem. But yeah, strong 7 for me. Clive.
Yeah, he gets a 7 as well. I think he picked up an injury, which is why he came off. But yeah, I think he's one of those players where I can understand. Like, I know Lucas was the one who picked a little bit on Alvarez because when it comes to our final third and actually in the box, he does make reckless tackles, a bit like what Kehrer did when he first came in. And I think that was the problem with Alvarez. His first month or so, first 6 weeks, he kind of did make those reckless challenges a couple of times, but I think that has slowly been eradicated out of his game. I know he did it at Ajax, but I think that's something that's perhaps been pinpointed by the management team over at West Ham, and it seems like when it comes to our final third, he's being a little bit less reckless, not just diving into the ground to, make the tackle and actually let the opposition make the mistake and believing in his abilities defense wise. So yeah, he had a strong game today. 7 from me.
Alan, the ratings are not low. They're going to get higher, trust me. But I just thought like
7's above average.
So I thought something
5 and 6 is average. 7 is above. You can't just go, oh, let's give him 9s and 10s.
I can't give 8s and 9s when I've got one man in mind who's going to get probably like the highest rating ever. So yeah. Next up, Thomas Soucek. Dean, what you saying for Thomas Soucek?
I don't know if it's controversial or not. I thought it was our worst player today.
Yeah, he was.
I don't think he was his usual self. Is it because he's set high standards in recent weeks, particularly with the goals he's popped up with? Obviously, the mistake you spoke about already that he made in the game, which could have been costly on another day. So for that reason, I'm going to have to give him a 6. To be honest, I'm surprised he played. I thought we could have had another luxury player in there today. I mean, I don't think we would have needed Soucek today. If you look at the
and do you know what? I think the reason we don't have another luxury player in that is on the basis of, I don't know if you guys noticed it, but it was the same on Thursday and the same again today. One player goes forward, and then when that player goes forward, the other two sit back and they keep switching. So like in the first, I'd say 10-15, it was JWP going forward. Then after that, it seemed like Alvarez was going more forward. Then you had Soucek a little bit more forward. It seems like there's a rotation. So I think that's why we don't have the luxury player, because it's like keep 2 further back, let 1 pace forward. Whilst before it was very much like set positions at the back. It was always JWP and Alvarez further back and Soucek further forward. But now it seems like they're working in like a little triangle of who goes up, the other 2 stay back, and then switch and rotate. I think that's what's working well.
I think when you see James Ward-Prowse being that sort of advanced role, sometimes I look at Soucek and think if you took him out and put another DM in there, someone of like quality, you wouldn't really miss him. You wouldn't really miss Soucek for me. So Dean's rated him a 6. I'm going to give him a 6. Clive, what are you giving him?
Yeah, same from me, 6. Obviously, could have been a costly mistake, and I'd say his passing was a little bit more array today compared to Thursday. Anyways, Thursday was very accurate today.
Yeah,
not so much. I'd also say he didn't have as much of the ball as he did back midweek. Midweek, he had a lot of the ball tonight. This afternoon, he didn't have a lot of the ball today. Not his finest game. Aerially, he was good, which was needed at times, but the rest of the play wasn't really there today. A bit disappointed from him.
Yeah, I hear, mate. Moving on to this man, James Ward-Prowse. Unlucky today not to score that free kick.
That second one was banging. That was a good
Yeah.
free kick and all.
I backed him at 14-1 just before he was about to take it, and I thought it was in, and it weren't. Dean, what you saying for James Ward-Prowse?
You know what? We keep hearing every week, isn't it? He's one free kick off David Beckham.
Yeah,
Every week it seems to
every
be.
week.
It's never going to happen, is it?
No. It's written in the stars. He's waiting for his Christmas present. It's an early Christmas present. It's happening on the 23rd of December, and he's scoring against Manchester United to break that record. It's poetic. It
Or
has
Arsenal.
to happen against
One of them
Manchester.
two.
No, it has to happen against Manchester United because that's where Beckham always was. So it has to happen there, and it has to happen before Christmas.
Good shout, Clive. I shall be back in that. What you saying?
Great shout. And also, Onana's letting their most free kicks this season out of any goal.
Exactly. I was about to say, did you see what Copenhagen managed to do against Onana? That's another reason to back it.
Fair enough, mate. Fair enough. What you saying, Dean? For him.
You know what? It's like, do you remember when we had Payet and we had a free kick and like everyone was off their seat excited? When he takes a corner, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Like everyone's thinking, here we go. But when he doesn't assist or put in like a set piece that leads to a goal, it seems like he sort of not drifts away, but people don't really notice him as much. People go, oh, set piece merchant, this and that. I don't think he's just that. I think he had a better game than Soucek, but he weren't the star of the show. We'll come to in a minute. I'll give him a low 7, I think.
I make mine short and sweet. I'll give him a low 7. I thought he was good today, though. I like how he sort of relentlessly presses from that sort of position, like that number 10 role, and he was just floating about. He's unlucky today with that free kick, especially the second one. I think if it's just a bit lower and a bit more to do it like more sort of controlled, I think it's in the back of the net, if I'm being honest. But yeah, I'll give him a 7. I thought he was solid, good passing today and all. I'll give him that. So yeah, 7. Clive, what you saying?
Yeah, I mean, look, he definitely beat the goalkeeper with that free kick. So it's a shame it just was slightly off target. But I think since he's been playing, as I say, that rotational role of being allowed to go more forward and being less deep, it's allowing his passing to move forward, and he's pressing a little bit more, creating chances. He looks a lot more comfortable on and off the ball, and like Dean's pointed out, people forget what he does on and off the ball, in my opinion, because you're in the middle of the pitch, you're in that midfield area, so there's a lot that comes to it. So I think he's playing very well. For me, he gets a 7 because obviously there's a few players I've mentioned and notoriety of today, and unfortunately for JWP, he just didn't quite get that finished article today.
Yeah, I've got to agree, mate. Got to agree indeed. It's come to this man, Lucas Paqueta. Dean, take it away.
I mean, where do we begin? Assisted every single goal. He didn't have that many assists before today, which surprised me. I mean, Ward-Prowse was skinning him for assists before today's game, but I thought he was different class. Apart from the 3 assists, you see some of the skill moves he's done. He's taken the piss most of the time.
I said, the one that he did with Emerson early in, you just knew he was going to have a good game at that point.
Yeah, I agree on that. This
guy's class. I'm worried he's going to leave in the summer, so we need to enjoy these moments when we do get to see him. Created all the goals. Thought it was fantastic. Looked like it was on a different level to most of the other Wolves players. It's hard to pick a number because of a certain Ghanaian to come, but can I give him a 9? Low 9?
I think I'm going to leave it to you, Dave. This is your call, son. This is your call.
So I'm going to give him a 9.
I'm going to give him a 10.
Oh,
I thought he was flawless today.
perfect.
That is when you pay £55 million out for a player. That's the sort of performances that win you games. Yeah, and that's what you're after. Yeah, when you sort of pay that sort of money out. Now, the word world class gets branded about all the time with certain players. Oh, he's world class. He's world class. That was a world class performance today. For assists, the trickery, the passing, everything just aligned into one today. Yeah, and no one can really begrudge him a 10 because it was flawless. Yeah, the only thing he done wrong in the whole game for me, but I can give him some credit for it, is that he was running through on that 1-on-1 and he just didn't get there in time. Do you know what I mean? To sort of have a chance to score. Other than that, everything he done well. And that's the thing. When that's the thing that drives me mad with Lucas Paqueta in certain moments is I know that he's in there. he's got like the Dimitri Payet vibe with him. Yeah, if he can do that consistently, then we're cooking. Do you know what I mean? We're cooking. So I'm going to give him a 10 today. I think he deserves a 10. Like he hasn't been great over the last few weeks, and today he was excellent. Like best performance in the West Ham shirt by a country mile for me, all day long. Clive, what you saying?
For me, he gets a 9. Obviously, a hat trick of assists. Some of the passing. I mean, that second one, it's the ability to see some of those passes and believe that he can make those passes as well is very important. Because he still did it from quite a long way out, and and obviously with the 2 defenders being there, that could have done more for it, I guess. But yeah, I mean, he had the vision. He played perfectly, looked strong on and off the ball, and he just had a bit about him. The one thing I wish he had done was take a touch and done a half volley instead of going for that volley in the second half with that shot. But you know, when you're through, I think we were 2-0 up still at that point. But fair play. He wanted to take the shot. He was full of confidence. But I wish he had just done a little bit more of that. But yeah, 9 out of 10 for me, a man of the match.
9 out of 10, man of the match. Before I move on, I want to shout someone out. It was on Twitter that I see a betting slip, and the poor sod backed Mohamed Kudus to become man of the match in this game at 7-1, 20 quid on it. The poor sod got done by Paqueta because of that assist for Bowen. Gutted, mate. Absolutely gutted. I know how you feel, mate. But we move on to this man, Mohamed Kudus. Dean, have we got another like Dimitri Payet reboot? What you saying?
You know what? When he first joined, I'm thinking we've signed this right winger and we've got Jared Bowen. Where the hell is he going to play? Right? Now, obviously, he's shifted Bowen up top, but that's partially down because of the injury to Antonio. It'd be interesting if Antonio is fit all this time, if that'd still be the case. He's so good and he's got pace. We've lacked a player with real pace for a while, or not had that many players with pace. I thought he was sensational. That first goal, I did not think he was going to shoot from there. I wasn't expecting it. Because he had players supporting him. I'm thinking, what's he doing shooting him? Even Bentley weren't expecting it, and he beat him. He's just class. And also, you see his flipping celebration. He went and sat in front of the Wolves fans. That's a goal. Like he's just amazing. But I don't know what we're going to do when Antonio's fit to fit him, Bowen, Kudus. I don't know who drops out. But Kudus today, 2 goals, left foot, right foot. If he had a header, it would have been a perfect hat trick. So because he didn't get the perfect hat trick, I give him a 9 as well.
I'm going to give him a high 9, strong 9, just not a 10 for me. I think Paqueta just outshone him slightly, and that is just slightly for me. I said it the other week, and I say it again. Yeah, when Dimitri Payet comes to West Ham, you just felt the buzz of the player. Yeah, you started to see what he can do. I'm starting to feel the same vibe with this geezer. Every time he gets the ball, he's looking to go forward. Every single time, he don't ever check his run. He turns, he's going, he's attacking that sort of space all the time. And today, he was excellent. The first goal's class, cuts inside. He plays it in the bottom corner, so the goalkeeper can't get there. The second goal's also superb. Do you know what I'm saying? And he's sort of composure, awareness, and everything about him. I think we have just like got one of the bargains of the summer. £38 million for this geezer, and he's not worth 38 million now. He's probably worth about 80 million now. Like he's a very, very good player. I knew about this kid for a little while, and when we was looking to sign him in the summer, I turned around and said, if we get this geezer in, he could like transform us down on his own, right? And I think, do you know what? Get some players around him. He's going to be a quality player for West Ham. He really is. Do you know what I mean? Today, strong 9, high 9, just not a 10 for me. The 10 goes to Lucas Paqueta. But I tell you what, Kudus, carry on, mate, because you're just superb at the minute and well controlled, as Troj says in the chat there. Clive.
Also gets a 9, but just misses out on the man of the match. I mean, the first goal, whilst it was good when he cut in the inside, goalkeeper should have done a lot better. It was a bit like midweek on the Thursday. Theoretically, those shots shouldn't really be going in. But still, to take the effort, it's nice and refreshing to have someone that's actually willing to take shots on the edge of the box or outside and not just, try and cup it into the box and then take an easy shot. Because ultimately, if you shoot, you might get those goals, or could even get a corner, stuff like that. So it's nice to see. He had a really good game, winning the possession of the ball anytime that, you know, one of the players had lost it down the right, a couple of times when Coufal had lost the ball. And yeah, I mean, he just looked really up for it. It was really good to see. So yeah, strong game, 9.
9 for you. Let's come to this man, Jared Bowen. What are you saying, Dean, for him today? Got another goal.
Yeah, another goal. I've still got question marks about Bowen striker. I don't know if it's the way going forward. It's a bit shoehorning Bowen in because you can't drop Kudus. That's what it seems like to me. 10th goal of the season in the league.
Yeah.
That's twice as many as Saka, just saying.
Any Arsenal fans in there? Hope they hear that.
I was going to say he's the joint third in the league. He's got the same amount of goals as Son Heung-min. He's got 1 less than Mohamed Salah and 4 less than Erling Haaland.
I mean, that's unreal. And he don't take pens.
And 1 more than Ollie Watkins as well. Just putting that out there.
What you said?
It's unreal. He hit the woodwork as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
So he was unlucky not to have 2. But it's nice to see him score at home because most of the goals have been away this season. Sky's the limit for this guy. But I'm a bit worried about him being up top because I think I prefer him on the right, going 1v1 against people. He's quicker than people think because he's a bit short. People don't give him that. But yeah, got his goal. And yeah, I think we look a much better team when Bowen's playing. I really hope he starts at Anfield. I'm going to give him an 8.
I'm going to be honest, Dean, yeah? Shout out to Jason in the chat there, yeah? I actually think he's all right at striker. I really do.
Really?
Yeah. I think the pressing on the man is unreal. Like, he presses, he's consistently running all the time. And listen, people love Mikel Antonio, don't get me wrong, and for what he's done at West Ham, he's been a good player for West Ham, yeah, for all the years he's been here. But when I look at Jared Bowen, he's always on the move. He's always looking to sort of like press defenders consistently on a sort of consistent basis. If he's scoring goals as a centre forward and he's got 10 now, that must be saying something. And if then none of them are set pieces, then that's really showing that he can sort of play in that position. What I also like is how him and Kudus interact. Yeah, so if one of them's not playing sort of well up front, the other one goes on the wing, and it's nice rotation. Do you know what I'm saying? I think when you've got a striker there who's just a natural sort of striker, say like an Antonio, for instance, who's been there for years and it ain't working out, you can't really shift Antonio anywhere else. So I think Bowen's doing all right. I think he's doing all right. Like, obviously, I'd like to see a striker at the club. Don't get me wrong, but I think for what he's doing and for what he's doing off the ball and all, I think he's doing all right, mate. I really do. So for that, I'm going to give him an 8 today. He won me £32, which was a result. Did
Moyes turn on Arnautovic to a striker? Was it him?
Yeah.
Moyes turned Arnautovic into a striker. And the thing is, I'm not saying like Bowen's got like an Arnautovic vibes, but ever since he arrived from Hull, I always said this geezer could play as sort of a off the striker. If he plays as a striker and you've got Kudus and Paqueta around him, then you've got a front 3 there that can do some damage. You really can. So yeah, strong 8 for me. Clive, what you saying, mate?
Also gets an 8. What I would say is I kind of agree with both your points. I agree with the interlink that you mentioned, James, with Kudus, but then I agree with Dean in the sense of his goal actually came when he was down on the right wing.
I know.
So it wasn't when he was up top. That's the irony. So I actually agree with both your points because his goal came when we changed.
But don't you find though, Clive?
4-4-2.
Yeah, but Clive, don't you find there's a lot more energy with the front line? Like, and it's not blocking
100%.
Antonio.
No, but 100%. But there's only one way to play with Antonio, which is to hoof the ball up to him. Which, you know, I'll get onto Moyes when we get to that part. But I've got a weird feeling that the change of style of play is because perhaps we're now finally preparing a life without Antonio, because, you know, there has been rumours over, I'd say, since January last year, so almost the full 12 months of him leaving. This summer, it sounded like he was going to go Saudi, and it sounds very, very likely that he potentially will be going to Saudi in January if they make a bid. So I've got a feeling that we're preparing for a life without Antonio, and that is good. But also, if we do get rid of Ings, then we're going to need to bring in a striker. But I think in this window, we do not bring in a striker that is perhaps of enough caliber to perhaps become a striker in the long term. I
Well,
think if we buy a striker, it will be to be
Yeah.
a secondary backup
Well,
to
let me
whoever
ask
becomes
you.
our striker next summer.
Let me ask both of you: can you sort of handle Bowen for a season as centre forward?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, with the interlink, yes.
With Europe,
yeah,
Yeah,
I
because
don't know,
if we get a backup striker and they're not cup tied with the Europa League, then yes. But I'm talking like I want us to be able to buy a striker that, even though they're going to be a backup in the medium to long term, they're
Yeah.
good enough to potentially take that starting spot.
I agree.
That's what I want, because ultimately, if we get rid of Antonio and Ings, that means we've got rid of Antonio, Ings, and Scamacca all in the same season.
Yeah.
And we need to replace with a good caliber. Like I know Scamacca didn't do what we would have wanted, and he didn't perhaps get the time required to perhaps do that either. But we need someone of Scamacca caliber, and I mean, like 30 million. We're actually going to put in a bit of money, and yes, all right. As I say, in the medium term, they might be a bench player, because I think if you're going to sign a striker in Jan, you're never going to get the best options unless you pay over the odds. But
Yeah.
I think whoever we bring in we need to also be looking at the medium to long term and not short term vision. So someone that can be there, but perhaps, whoever we bring in the summer is going to be our starting for next season, basically. It's a bit of a tough one.
I know what you're saying. Don't get me wrong. I understand what Dean just said there about Europe and all that. But I look at Bowen and just look at him off the ball, right? What he does off the ball, right?
Yes,
it's not so much on the ball, but
for me, it's not that. It puts us down to the same as when we had Antonio. Is the problem? There's one style of play. We need multiple. We need multiple options. I know everyone's very quick to be on the Moyes bandwagon of he only has one way of playing, but ultimately, if you've only got strikers that can play in a certain style, you can't then mix it up to another style. I mean, Bowen's got more about him because the fact we're able to change formation today into a 4-4-2 in that latter 15-20. Says that he is able to play a couple of styles, but what you get with Bowen. It's those runs and passes down the wing rather than him as a centre forward. So I think against certain opposition, we'd be found out is the problem.
Yeah,
but lads, I'll take you back to Christmas 2 years ago. All right. Yeah. It's December. We're in the top 4. We're in the last 16 Europa League. Right. People are screaming for a striker because Antonio's not doing anything. Right. We end up bowing out of Europa to Frankfurt, and we finish 7th? Yeah. Because we didn't buy a striker. And many said if we bought a striker in January, we'd have got top 4 in the Europa League. So now we're in the same boat again, and you're reckoning we don't need to buy in Jan.
I'm saying we do. I'm saying we do.
Oh, you're saying we do. What about Solanke? Would you take Solanke?
I think.
Yes, because he's a sort of player. Solanke's the sort of player you can buy, and he could be benched if we buy a better striker in the summer.
I don't think he's going to come here and have that risk, though, mate. Like, why would he?
Really?
I don't think it's a risk. I think Solanke. Right. What I'm saying is, when I say he wouldn't mind, of course, every player would mind, but would he be disruptive? We need a player that would be, if he gets benched, he's not going to be disruptive. And Solanke's that sort of player because he's played for a club like Liverpool where he's had to try and break through.
Personally, I think when it comes to the striker sort of issue, it's got to be someone who they've targeted for ages. Yeah, who they've watched for ages. Now, for me, like, I want a striker at the club, but I don't want West Ham to go out and get another Danny Ings, if that makes sense. Do you know what I'm saying?
I've got a feeling we would be going for Solanke, and 2 reasons I say that is you just mentioned it, someone that we've already got eyes on, and in the summer we were somewhat linked. But also think about the players we're considering getting rid of. Danny Ings, and we're also considering getting rid of there was another British name and I've forgotten. But anyways, no. Oh my God, I don't know why I'm having a mind blank. But regardless, whoever we get rid of, if we get rid of one English player, we fail the English quota. So we have to bring in an English player. So, and also who wouldn't be cup? Who wouldn't be cup tied for Europa League? Solanke.
Mate, if you gave Solanke Danny Ings' wages, I don't think you care about not starting every week.
And in all fairness, you could potentially do a swap deal.
Could do, mate. Give him ings and a bit of dough, yeah.
Yeah.
And don't forget, he did used to play for Bournemouth years ago, so he might want to go back there and play.
And that's what I mean. And he's got links to the South Coast, doesn't he? He's played for Southampton as well. And, I know, there's rumours that a lot of Championship clubs that are looking at promotion are looking at Danny Ings. But I think when you look at
why.
I know, but when you look at the teams that are up there, Leicester are not going to need Danny Ings. I don't see Ipswich having the money to pay the wages of Danny Ings. I don't think Southampton have already got too many strikers, so they're out. And also his relationship with Southampton's not great. And then you look at a couple of the other playoff teams, and you're just like, they just don't have the wage cover. And if you're Danny Ings at the age of 32, you're thinking, I want a Premier League team. Well, Bournemouth don't look like they're going to be threatened by relegation this season. So that's just my theory.
Yeah, I know, mate. Yeah. Right, let's come to subs. Right, let's give us numbers for this, gentlemen. Dean, I'll start with you. Give us numbers for all four lads.
I'll be honest. I mean, they didn't really do much. Kero was on for about 2 seconds and still managed to get booked, didn't he?
He still got booked, yeah, so I'll give him a 5 just for that.
It took him all of 2.5 minutes before he got booked.
I forgot about Kero. Like we had him. I actually forgot.
What about Fornells, Dean, when he come on? I thought he'd done all right.
Yeah, it's weird because a couple of years ago, he was like starting on the left every game, wasn't he? Especially in that European.
I think it's very smart that we're playing him. It's clear because we've extended the contract. It's, hey, we have Fornells. Who wants to bid on him in January? That's all we're doing. That's the only reason he's the first player coming on. It's smart.
Do you reckon?
It is, yeah, 100%.
I think so.
Because it's not like for like change when you're taking off Alvarez twice in a row. It's very much like, here's a reminder. Here's a reminder. Here is Fornells. He has now signed an extra year because he didn't have a choice. It's in his contract. Please, someone take him off our hands.
Yeah.
Whereas Ben Rama's not getting on the pitch.
Yeah, no, but I mean, if the rumours are true that we're going to sign another left-sided player, then to me, you keep Benny, you sell Cornet, don't you?
I agree on that.
What's going on with Cornet, lads? What's actually going on? Because he's not injured.
No, I just think clearly he's not the same player that he was since he got that injury.
I agree.
I think a lot of people were like, oh, why is he not playing this, that, and the other? But I mean, ultimately, what we've seen of him, yes, he's looked a little bit better than he did the previous season, but I don't know if he would offer anything, and perhaps he's just too injury prone. Perhaps that's another worry. I think
the injuries hit him more than what we think. I get what people say about, like, oh, you got to give him time, you got to give him minutes and all that. But Moyes hasn't got time to sort of say, oh, let's give this geezer a game and see how he does. Because if he loses, then all the fan base are on him straight away. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know what the crack is with Cornet. I don't think he's here in January.
When you hear an injury that's been like only protracted like by 2 people over 25 years, you've got to kind of shit yourself a little bit and go, oh, he ain't going to be the same, is he? Like, it's one of those. And you do wonder, we don't get to see obviously what happens in terms of during the week and when they're playing. But for all we know, he could be complaining of consistent aches. He might not even be able to train full time. We don't know the truth behind it.
There is an issue. I'm going to say this with Cornet, yeah. Before we get to before I get to that, Dean, give us your numbers for them lads. Probably Fornells is probably the highest one.
Fornells he seems to put on when we're winning. So it's comfortable, it's controlled. He'll keep the ball. He won't lose it.
Made a good pass to Paqueta as well.
Yeah, but he's not in 7 territory. So Fornells 6, Mabama 8. Not enough. Mabama 6, Ings 5. Kira got a yellow. Probably have to give him 4. If you're getting a yellow per minute, I think that's not a good average rate, is it?
Right, I'm going to make mine short this week. Fornells 6, and the rest of them get 5s because I was only on for minutes. Yeah, so bang average.
Yeah.
Clive, what you saying?
Fornells 6, Mabama 5, Ings 5, Kera 4.
Fair enough, mate. Before I come to the final 2 ratings, I understand what you were saying about Cornet, but I do think like the fan base get a bit giddy in regards of him thinking that he's going to come on and like change it, like everything for us. I understand that he should be playing games, right? There's certain moments where he should be on the pitch, even for like 5 minutes or something, right? But there has to be a bigger issue here. There has to be. Maybe there's something in the contract that says if he gets to a certain milestone, West Ham have to fork out a few million to Burnley or something.
I
don't know.
I don't even think he's got even close enough to get hit anything unless it was 5 appearances, because I don't think he's made 5. I think that's the thing. Like, you know, I don't think it can be an appearance thing. I genuinely think there must be a lot more going on than we know to not even make the squad of substitutes.
That's twice
says
now.
To me, and that's what I mean. And I don't think it's a talent issue. I genuinely think it could be a situation of, for all we know, as I say, he could be consistently complaining of leg aches or leg pains from just training, and he's probably having a lot of physio that we just don't know about. It could be anything like that. We just don't know, but clearly there's something.
Yeah, definitely is, mate. 100%.
And I think that's the thing, because I mean, ultimately, I mean, to not even make the subs bench when we're a team that, you know, don't have a huge amount of assets.
I think it proved it to me on Thursday night when he went on the bench then. Like, don't forget, like, whether people say it's a dead rubber or not, it's a game where if West Ham are in control of the game, he should be on the pitch to get minutes and get his fitness up.
I remember the playoff last year, like the Conference League right at the start. He started on the left. He got like a couple of assists or something. He crossed it and Skamaka scored a header. He looked sharp. He looked quick. Then he got injured. I reckon, right, he was expecting to be a starter. I reckon he thought he'd be, you know, the impact Kudus has had on the right. I think Cornet thought, I'm going to be like that on the left, and he hasn't.
Well, I mean, Cornet. Well, I don't know if he's kicking up a fuss, because usually we would have heard something by now. Usually in the media, it sort of comes out by now. I mean, like the way Cresswell wanted to leave, stuff like that. But the Cornet front's been very quiet. I mean, look, he had 26, 29 appearances for Burnley, got 9 goals. I just think the injury's done him. I think the injury is. It's
That's
one of those.
If it's that bad, who's going to buy him?
But I think that is also the problem. I think it's also a case of you know, I always think of there was this interview with Ledley King. Not that I ever really want to talk about Tottenham Hotspurs or any of their players, but Ledley King said he got injured in his early 20s and he signed a new contract, and he was like, I never said it, but you know, I knew I was on borrowed time, and he ended up making a career out of it. But like, some players can't. Ledley King was lucky, but perhaps Ledley King could have been a 10 times the player he was had he not had that injury. I think with Cornet, I think he's cooked. I think for some reason,
I agree.
He's done.
That's sad.
It is.
I actually agree with you on that.
Like Dean Ashton.
I just feel I just don't think he's Premier League standard. I think what it is, people looking at him.
He got 10 goals at Burnley.
Yeah, but right now, though, Dean. Like, if you look at him
not right now, but
as a fitness level for a second,
But he could go somewhere like Ligue 1, like he could go to France.
He could go there,
and that's what I mean. Like, that's where he could get. Whether he'd pass a medical is the big question mark.
Big if.
Yeah, that is, mate. I'm going to be honest.
He was at Lyon with Paqueta, wasn't he? I think
he was.
Yes, yeah.
Right, let's come to this man, the referee. Dean, what do you make of the ref today?
I think we got more bookings than we deserved, to be honest. But I don't tend to complain about refs when we win, to be honest. Like, it's not something that really phases me. I know you do the ratings for the ref every game, but like, if we win, I couldn't care if he was useless. Won the game, innit?
Yeah, but are we lucky today that Coufal didn't get sent off?
No. Have you seen the one on Bowen?
I see a little bit of it, yeah.
Right, Wall should have had a red. That could have broken Bowen's leg.
Well, I mean, in all fairness, Coufal could have got a red and all. So I don't know, the ref equaled it out. Yeah.
I'll give him a
6 out of 10. I think we're lucky that we didn't lose a man. I thought, on another day, a referee gets pulled on that, goes to VAR, and I think he could go. Nevertheless, I thought, he was okay. So I agree with you, Dean. Probably a 6 for me. Clive, what you saying?
Yeah, I mean, he let the game play where needed, made some good decisions. This isn't ref related, but more VAR related. I'm not going to lie. I looked at my phone and managed to see the image of the offside for Wolves.
I couldn't believe how long it took.
I saw one image and I knew instantly it was offside. It took them about 3 minutes to figure that crap out. I'm sorry, but when you've got X amount of screens, how many attempts did that take them? Because that took forever. But
not the ref,
for me, it's about. No, that's why I'm saying it's more VAR related, but we only really have ref on here. So ref itself 6, VAR 2.
Yeah, we need one for VAR.
I couldn't believe that decision. Right, when I was watching it, I was like, you've only got to look at the 18-yard box line. Yeah, and you can see that he's in front by a mile. Do you know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
It was obvious.
It was most certainly was. Let's come to this man. Final rating of the evening, gentlemen, and that is David Moyes. Be interested to get Dean's thoughts on this because first time on Dean. First off, what do you make of him today, and then what do you make of him in general?
I think today he was very good.
Yeah,
I think the lineup was very good. Also, I think the lineup the other day was very good because he took it seriously to win the game. Right, he messed about with the Olympiacos game, didn't he, a few weeks ago?
Yeah.
He basically rested everyone. He got the lineup spot on the other day. I think he got it spot on today. So people are quick to jump on him, but you've also got to commend the guy when he gets it right. So I'll give him a 9 today. But also we've got the call right. If we're saying Areola couldn't play, then fair enough. But he kept Fab in goal. He picked the right team. I'll give him a 9. In general, I don't think there's any point in being Moyes out because he'll go in the summer regardless if you're in or out. I think he's not going to get a new deal.
I don't know though, Dean. Right, I really don't because one thing I can't work out, I really can't work this out, is who's buying the players in January for what manager? Like, do you know what I'm saying?
I don't think they're buying any.
Like, or if I think West Ham are going to go in the market for some sort of player of some
maybe
note,
on loan to the end of the season.
I don't know because there's too many players who want to leave at the club. Like, you know what I mean? I could go
Depends how much money we make, and the thing is, we need to get rid of some of the high wages. If you think about it, I was saying this to Lucas when I replied to him on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. What was it? Areola's on the bench. He's about 110k a week, and then you got Ings 125k a week. Like our bench is freaking heaving when it comes to the wage bill. I mean, Cresswell 60k a week, and then you got Bono's around the same. It's a little bit insane when you think about it.
The thing is, when I say that about Moyes, is I just don't. How can I put it? When I look at today and I look at the way West Ham have sort of attacked and all that, yeah, he done everything right today. Like everything he done
him a 9.
He's pretty much spot on. Do you know what I'm saying? I look at him today and I look at the Moyes in, Moyes out thing. That divide it's not healthy. That's the end of the day, right? And the other week I just about had enough of it because it's just like it's like if you say something, you're Moyes out. If you defend him, you're Moyes in. Like you're a flip flop, you're this, you're that. All this bollocks. And the thing, what does me more than anything, is we shouldn't be like that. As fans, we shouldn't be like this, right? We should be enjoying these moments. Do you know what I'm saying? And it seems like when he wins a game, like today, all the sort of Moyes in people are on him straight away. Yeah, on the other people. Yeah, and then if he loses a game, Moyes out. Same thing applies. Now, today, starting lineup superb. Yeah, he went with Fab with Areola on the bench. I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to give him a 9. I think he deserves a 9. 3-0 victory at home. He takes Alvarez off because he knows how key Alvarez is in his side. Maybe the subs could have come a bit earlier, but I can understand it. It was 2-0 up and they was attacking quite a lot, Wolves. But he deserves some credit tonight. He really does. So yeah, I'll give him a 9. Clive, what you saying?
Yeah, gets a 9 from me because he also changed formation up. Last 20 minutes was on a 4-4-2 formation. Which was nice to see. It was quite refreshing. I think the way the style of play, it makes you wonder if, after we tried to change the style of play last season and it failed because we tried to do it instantly, have they secretly been working on it in the back for a few months and only started projecting it into the pitch in the last week or so because, that maybe Moyes now feels comfortable that the team know what the game plan is. Maybe this whole time over training in the summer and even up until recent, they've probably been training on this. Yeah. And if that's the case, it makes you wonder if this is a style of play that's going to be playing going forward, at what point, and the same with the January signings and potential outgoings. It makes you wonder if we're not signing these or selling these players because of Moyes, then who's it for? Because we need to, I think not having a stability of a future is a bit ridiculous. I mean, imagine at the end of the season, we end up qualifying for Europe again, whether it's because we've won the Carabao Cup or because we finished in 7th or something. But can you really say you can't give Moyes an extension if we qualify for Europe for a 4th year running? And even then, do you only give him a 1-year extension? Like it's such a weird one. Like it's like, where do we end up on that? Like, it's ridiculous when you think
I
about
agree
it.
with you. I really do agree with you on this, because this is where the argument I had the other week, right? And I turned around and said, you either back him at the start of the season, yeah, you go, right, you've just won us a trophy, we're going to back you, or you let him go. I don't understand the logic in rolling this geezer's contract down. I really don't. Like,
Yeah.
I think if it goes wrong, then people have got the right call to get him out, like they have, and say, right, if it goes wrong, if we get knocked out of every cup competition, we don't qualify for.
Not even that. The results we had prior to the World Cup, I mean, that for me was sackable, because it's a results. It's a results based business, unfortunately, and a lot
if
of
he
managers
gets us
would have
to
been
another
sacked.
final, if he gets us to another final of a competition, League Cup, FA Cup, or Europa, or whatever,
yeah,
then there will be questions asked from people who are sort of staunch Moyes in people, people who will back this geezer on the mountain and say, right, this is the geezer who's give us the best moments in our years. And as I say,
but not even that. Whoever comes in next season, if they don't perform instantly, you're going to have to question, because we've got some of the best players we've ever had at this club.
But you're forgetting one thing. You're forgetting about the man himself. What if he doesn't want to stay past the summer? What if he wants to go to the MLS and get double the wages? You might want to go.
Oh no, he'll go Saudi.
Yeah.
If he does though, Dean, right? If he does want to leave, then that's understandable. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I've said before, and I've done a few like sort of Twitter Spaces and YouTube stuff and everything, is that if he does get offered a contract by Sullivan, is he like, he ain't going to get a better job than West Ham in the Premier League for me?
No, but he'll get more money abroad, way more.
I don't think it's about the dough with him though, mate, because he could have left West Ham.
Yeah, I think he's too old to go for the dough at this point. He's not a young manager or someone that's like, oh yeah, let's do it. I mean, if you look at some of the managers that have gone to like Saudi, for instance, you're looking at your Gerrards and I think even Nuno Espirito Santo.
I don't think it's about the dough.
Like,
I think
I think a younger manager is more likely to look at it from a lucrative standpoint. I think when you're David Moyes' age, like he's got enough money to see him through until he dies.
Yeah. See,
Celtic, he might want Celtic.
See, the thing is,
Celtic job that's one that could happen.
Like the Celtic job come up last year, I thought
he just won a cup.
I thought there's your moment to say goodbye. But this is where my argument is with the David Moyes sort of situation currently right now. I don't really blame Moyes. I blame Sullivan for allowing this to be in this situation, because you can't have a manager on a rolling contract knowing, like, we don't even know who's going to be the manager next season. Like, that's mad. I think if you look at Arsenal, right? I use Arsenal as a prime example. When they got rid of Wenger, they sort of told the fans that that's it, And what it was before they told the fans, it was pretty much like it is now with the West Ham sort of fan base, Like, people were Wenger in, Wenger out, The ones who like are in, like, respect, values, and everything. The ones who were out said, right, he's took us as far as he's gone. That's it. He can't do no more. The same thing is happening with West Ham with Moyes at the minute. And there has to be a sort of divining answer to say, right, we are going to let him go at the end of the season. So this will be his final season. Let's embrace it. And I think if we know that, then everyone can get together. But I'll tell you what, he's doing okay. I'm going to rephrase that. He ain't doing okay. He's doing fucking really good. But at the minute, what he's doing in the league, he's in the league. He's still in the League Cup.
I was about to say, we're in eighth place, one point away from a European spot, 2 or 3 points away from Europa League spot, and quarterfinal of the Carabao Cup, and last round of 16 for Europa League. What more do you want?
What people have the ump with, what I've noticed on doing Spaces, doing this YouTube game and everything, is that, and even speaking to people in general out and about, it's the style of play that irritates people more than anything. I think if Moyes if West Ham play like this, and they've played in the last 2 games for the rest of the season, I think fans would accept that, because West Ham are having to go in games, right, and not this low block stuff. Now I can get it from that side. On the other side of the coin, I can see it from the Moyes in lads, right? A lot of young lads who I've spoke to turn around and say, James, I don't get it. Right, I don't get why people are arguing about this man. Look what he's done over the last 4 years. Like Europe, fucking semi-final, a cup final, We're now into the last 16, I think it is, of the Europa League. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, people, I think the divide in the fan base is really also to do with like generational. I think a lot of the younger fans are speaking up because it's their best manager they've ever seen. And I think a lot of the older fans don't like the style of play, don't like Moyes, and want West Ham to be as good as better than what they can be.
This is the biggest divide in terms of managerial
agree 100%
positions since Allardyce, in my opinion, because Allardyce was similar. Like, you know, he did the job, but I'd say the difference between Allardyce and Moyes is you felt like the team we had with Allardyce could have done more than just be, you know, bottom half of the table and whatnot, and sort of perhaps press towards the European spots. But with Moyes, it's like the teams that we've had, could we have got much further, or did he overachieve a little bit, especially in that first season where we finished sixth and whatnot? Like, I think whoever you bring in, they're not going to get much better than where we're at.
The problem I have,
start spending the money like some of the other teams.
The problem I have, whoever they bring in, is that it's going to have to be someone who's got a higher ceiling than Moyes. I understand when people say about bringing like sort of Carrick in and people like that. I don't see it. I don't see them.
But that's what I mean. The sort of managers that we could bring in, I'm sorry, but I don't see how they'll get any better than Moyes. Like Xavi Alonso, everyone needs to just shut up. Like, he's not coming to West Ham. I mean, if he wins the Bundesliga, Xavi Alonso's going Madrid at best. Everyone makes a big deal out of. But I actually think if he'd gone Sunderland, which it seems like it's not happening now, I actually think that would have been a good starting point to go, okay, now we can see what he can do. Because, you know, he's done well in the French league and whatnot, but he's still such a young, fresh manager. It's hard to say. And then realistically, if you take it out of that, it's not really much a field.
I've got a name for you both, and I want to see if you take him.
Go ahead,
Pep Guardiola, because Man City don't seem to want.
And he's played for us.
I'll take him.
He was in the other dugout today.
I'm not convinced.
I'm not. I like his tactical analysis. I've watched a little bit when he was on Sky Sports a few months back.
Let me ask you this, though. Right, let me ask you this. If someone said to you, after the cup final, that you're going to do a year with Moyes, and then you're going to go and get rid of David Moyes and go and get Gary O'Neill in, people would think
no,
but
I'll do you one better. Like, I think Gary O'Neill is good. Gary O'Neill is one of those where it's like, if you don't want to progress any further, then he's a perfect appointment. And this is what I mean. If you're going to get rid of Moyes, you need someone that's going to take you to the next step, right? O'Neill is not that person, the same way as Sean Dyche. When we were looking in January, Sean Dyche isn't that person. But if you look at what Sean Dyche has done, if you take out the 10-point deduction, they would be 2 points below us, I think, if I'm not mistaken, which, you know, great, but could he do any more with that team? No.
Yeah.
The same way as can Moyes do muster much more from the West Ham team we have? You could argue maybe a little bit, but what I would argue is the problem is when we have all the competitions that we're in, the problem is we don't have enough depth in our squad. So without any depth, we're not going to get much better. And I think, realistically, if we're looking for that next step, if you're going to get rid of Moyes, you need to bring in a real high profile
I need to
manager.
ask you, though. I need to ask you what this next step is, because I keep hearing that. Yeah, I do. Right, that's one thing I do keep hearing. There's two things that irritate me currently right now. They really, really do. First off is that
I'll tell you what next step is.
Champions League, isn't it?
Right. I think that's the first thing, the next step thing. Yeah. And the second thing is when people shit on the trophy and say, "Oh, like anyone could win that trophy."
No, 100%. Yeah. Right. Next step to me is we consistently qualify for Europe via a league position.
Right.
And I mean consistent year in, year out. We have to do it minimum 5 years running.
Yeah, but
last season we wouldn't have qualified. No, that's
I know what you're saying.
That's consistency.
I know what you're saying, but I look at Chelsea, for instance. Yeah. They've got a lot more sort of spend power than us, right? You've only got to look at Manchester United a minute. They're in the mud, right? They're not doing nothing, and they're one of the biggest clubs on the planet.
But and they've spent a lot of money as well. More, it dwarfs the money we've spent. So. Yeah. I mean, but this is what I mean. Like, we're in a position where there's a couple of clubs that are struggling, a bit like in the late 2000s where Liverpool was struggling, and then obviously 5 years ago where you've got Arsenal struggling a little bit in the league. We need to be able to take advantage of that. But at the moment, you know, we've had 2 seasons out of the last 3 where our league positions have allowed us to qualify for Europe, but we need to consistently qualify for Europe, and then the next step after that, to me, is challenging for the Champions League. I think under the current structure of ownership that we have, realistically, our money is always going to be dwarfed. So us consistently targeting towards a European spot, that 6th and 7th spot, is important over the next 3 to 5 years. If we can't do that, we lose the players that we've got. We lose a Kudus, we lose a Bowen, we lose a Paqueta.
Yeah, but West Ham have always lost players over the years and always carried on.
But we should accept that.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true. But we shouldn't accept consistently losing players, because ultimately we should be looking to try and retain. Do what Spurs did with Harry Kane for 10 years. You know, they retained a player for that longevity because they were consistently hitting Europe and stuff like that. If we have the allure of Europe, we retain and manage to get some of the players that we've got. The Kuduses, the Paquetas, we've got them because we've started.
The only way that you're going to get a manager in of any note who's high end is if you pay for him. Yeah, if you go out and get a Sporting Lisbon manager or the Nice manager who's doing really well over in France, or someone of high standard, high ceiling. Yeah, I get what people are saying about Moyes to a point with the style of play. I get it. Yeah, I understand it. I've had that argument many, many times. It's fucking draining, right? But when I look at a new manager for the future, you have to go and pay for one. Yeah, and go and buy
Pellegrini. They did that with Pellegrini. Didn't do nothing, did he?
No, but I
his contract comes to an end in China.
Yeah, and
he's going to bolt out.
Pellegrini was never a top. Well, I say never a top tier manager. That's probably not fair, but he was already. Yeah, he'd won the league, but he'd won the league about 8-9 years prior. He'd been in China since that. He wasn't. He hadn't been in a higher caliber league for a solid 5 to 6 years. It was just very much like, look, we can sign a big name, but that's as good as going, oh, look, we signed Pablo Zabaleta, who's 35.
So let me ask you then, Dean, right? What is the sort of next step, and like what manager should West Ham be aiming for if Moyes is not the manager at the end of the season?
Look, there's two routes. What they'll do, they'll play it safe and get O'Neill in, because like the last Wolves manager left because of behind the scenes. So it wouldn't surprise me if O'Neill walked. Or I reckon the highest echelon guy we'd get is probably like Rafa Benitez, someone like that. That's what they'll do.
And I would say Rafa Benitez's style of play is not too dissimilar to Mr. Moyes.
David Moyes,
yeah. So and you know, we saw what Newcastle were like. I mean, obviously Newcastle were somewhat thankful for what he did, and then the season after it was very much like negativity. And I think if you don't want to divide the fan base, I mean, we've had that with Allardyce, we've had that now with Moyes. We'd get the same with Benitez.
Yeah.
The next step is Champions League, which if we beat Frankfurt and Rangers, we'd have got. So we're not a million miles away. And also, if we win the Europa League, we'll be in it as well. But I think Moyes can't get over the line with top four, so they'll get someone that can. I don't know who though.
But I don't think that's his fault that we couldn't get over the line with top four. I mean, yes, all right. No. But I mean, like, I think, like, obviously Villa are having a blinder at the moment, but there's still over half a season to go. But I think when you look at the amount of money and the players that some of the top four attract, I mean, Liverpool, Man City, and Arsenal, you know, that's almost 3 of the guaranteed top 4. I still think Spurs will nip that past Villa in the end, but I think realistically, you know, that top 4 is non-existent unless we all of a sudden get a splurge of money, and we don't have that splurge of money.
5th can get it now.
Yeah.
Well, that depends on our overall coefficiency, which has been somewhat scuppered thanks to Newcastle and Manchester United for failing to even stay in Europe because they both finished bottom of the group. That, fun fact, is the first time that 2 English teams have finished bottom of the group in the same season. I think since the Champions League began.
Yeah, but the only thing I will say with like in regards of like the future and obviously with Moyes and everything is that if you want Champions League, right, you could £200 million a transfer window isn't going to cut it. It's as simple as that. Like when people look at Villa, they keep forgetting that they got rid of Jack Grealish a few years ago, bought in a lot of these players, and some of these players were decent players, but it just didn't work under the manager. Yeah, I don't see that with West Ham. I see a lot of players at West Ham like Paqueta, Bowen, and Kudus who are all doing their thing. After that, and I look at the bench, and I look at people like Benny, and I've backed them up from minute 1 since he arrived at West Ham. I don't see him going up levels. Do you know what I mean? With a new manager coming in, I just don't see it at all, right? So if West Ham want to go out and get a top end manager, they're going to have to pay the money, and that goes down to the ownership of the club.
Yeah, but I've not heard a name yet who we can realistically get.
Well, for me,
but that's what I mean. I think if you actually wanted to sign a manager, I actually don't even think this is realistic, right? But the only type of manager I would love to see at the club that I think if he ever left the club would be the first thing, and that is Diego Simeone.
Yeah. It ain't gonna happen, though, mate. Because the reason
exactly. But I think out of all the big managers, that's probably the most realistic. If he left,
until Sullivan, it wouldn't surprise me.
It divides the fan base too much. Again, is the problem, because you could argue the boring style of football, but it wouldn't surprise me. I would take Mourinho. I would personally, but.
Do you know what? It really would not surprise me, because that would be the sort of manager that people would look at. Some people would look at him and think, well, he's no different to Moyes the way he plays. Yeah. And other people would think, well, look at him, he's a serial winner. Now, for me, so like it all depends on who you want to go with, like, and not like the style of play and everything, and where you want West Ham to be. Do I see West Ham as a Champions League side? No, I don't. Not yet. I think we've got 5-6 really strong, solid players. But actually, as a squad, we haven't.
Someone's mentioned in the thing, and I know I've said it before. If Eddie Howe was to leave Newcastle, if they feel they could press on without him, I would take Eddie Howe.
We had the chance a few years ago to get Eddie Howe, and
that's what I mean. I've always wanted Eddie Howe, to be honest, and I think he would be a good option. But again, it depends on what sort of progression you want, because I think if you want slower progression, Eddie Howe is the right option. If you want quick and fast progression, then he's not. And realistically, we do not have the stature of players or the enough players to sort of go, right, okay, here you are, build on this. We just don't have enough players. On top of that, we've got the second highest average age in the Premier League of players. So, it's not only the fact that we've got a lack of players, it's the fact that a lot of these players are going to be moved on. I mean, if you look at some of our bench today, I mean, Cresswell, old. Ogbonna, old.
Too many.
Fabianski, who's starting 11, old. Like,
and the thing is,
players that have already got to get replaced.
The thing is, when I look at the bench and I look at the squad, I think we've got a good 11, but I don't think we've got a good squad. I really don't. I don't buy that. When people say to me, "Oh, look at our squad. It's the best squad we've had in years." I just don't see it like at all. I think we've got a good team. Don't get me wrong. I think we've got if you looked at our starting 11 as a strongest starting 11, I think we're all right. I think we've got a decent starting 11. I don't see it with the squad. I think there's too many players there who are sort of deadwood at the club. I think some of them want to get out. Even Benny to a point. And listen, as I say, I backed Benny up for a long time. I don't think he's the future. I think Fornells wants out. You got Ogbonna, Ings. It's quite a few in there. Ben Johnson.
Again, Ings. Yeah, I mean, there's so many players that are either, we're not going to get money for, or they're just too old. And this is the thing: we don't have the squad depth, and yet at the end of this season, we're not going to have a squad because a lot of them are too old or out of contract. And that's the thing. Like, I think people forget, and they're just like, "Oh, Moyes' style is crap, and he needs to go this, that, and the other." Well, the problem is considering we've had cup runs, and I'm not just talking about Europe, but also the European Cup runs. The fact that we've managed to achieve what we've achieved with the lack of squad depth is impressive.
Before we go, I just want to say this to you. Final question before we wrap this up. I asked it to you, Dean, because obviously you're the guest on the show tonight. Do you think they will offer him a new contract and it'll be up to Moyes to whether or not he accepts it?
I think they don't know yet. I think they're still waiting to see how the season pans out.
Yeah, I agree with you on this.
Because if Moyes is in the Europa semi-final and he's 2 games from the Champions League again, very difficult to not offer him another deal. Yeah, or even the Carabao final. Imagine Wembley, right, and then getting Europe through that. So they're still undecided. If he gets offered it, he takes it. I think. Yeah. You offer him 2 years, he takes it.
I actually agree with you on this. I really do. I really do.
Because I just don't think there's an obvious standout, even if he wasn't to get offered to come and do it. I think Eddie Howe takes England after Southgate, so I don't think Howe would come.
That's
Can't
a
see
good
a
shout,
name.
actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Moyes, depending on the season, obviously if it goes pear-shaped and we go out of Europe and finish in the bottom half, I think that's when upstairs they start looking at, okay, he's out.
To be honest, what would piss me off
agree.
is if we get to the end of the season and we only give him another 1 year contract, because fuck me, considering the amount of players that will be going,
You can't do it.
but that's what I mean. Like, considering we don't have the squad depth, imagine he gets another 12-month contract. When again, who are we buying these players for? Because
Listen, I
you
agree
either
with
give him a
Dean, though, man.
contract or you don't. If you don't,
Yeah.
if you only give him a 12-month contract, you might as well not bother at all.
I agree with Dean 100% on that. I think they're waiting. They're stalling. Yeah, typical Sullivan. Yeah, he's waiting. He's biding his time and seeing that.
They did it last
goes.
season, mate. They were going to sack him, and then he ended up winning the cup.
Yeah, and they was very close to sacking him. And the game that I remember, because I'm involved in betting and everything. Yeah, and the game was Everton at home. When we won that game 2-0, if we'd have lost that game, he was gone, and Benitez was ready. Like all the markets are shut, and everyone turned around and said that Rafael Benitez will be the next manager if basically Moyes fails in that game. He wins the game, keeps his job, and the rest is history. I agree with you 100% on that, Dean. What you just said about, I think they're stalling. I think they're waiting. I think if he gets to another final of any note, that's 2 finals in 2 seasons. Like any other club will be offering the geezer a new contract, or he'd be getting a contract somewhere else quite quick. So I think they offer him something. Whether or not he takes it or not, it's a different question altogether. I really
think the
do.
next game's huge. I think the Liverpool Cup game is massive. If we beat them there, whether on because he could easily do 1 or win on penalties or whatever. Yeah, we're in the semi-final. Have you seen who's left? Like
I was about to say, if we end up knowing our luck, we won't end up with Borough or Port Vale. We'll end up with either Fulham or Everton or whoever. That is.
But you take that in a semi-final, wouldn't you?
100%, because it's 2 legs. But like, considering Everton's form and the fact that obviously look, we had an ill squad, but Fulham still got 5 past us. So it's like, at this point, I'd love to get Port Vale or Middlesbrough. It'd be hilarious.
And Liverpool today, you see him?
Yeah.
Bang
well,
and I actually think the draw today benefits us massive, because
and they'll rotate.
They will have to rotate, and they know they got Arsenal at the weekend, which they're going to look at it and think to themselves, right, fuck this Carabao Cup off. We need to keep all our players fit and ready for the Arsenal game, because the Arsenal game is massive. They win that game, they go back to the top of the league. So
they'd rather beat Arsenal than beat us.
I think you're going to see a massive makeshift side. Yeah, not as bad as
Liverpool needed to win today to not to basically go, we can get away with a draw with Arsenal. The problem is, if you also look at who's more affected by the AFCON, it's Liverpool, not Arsenal as much. Arsenal are affected because Partey and a couple of other players. However, they do have enough squad depth. If you look at Liverpool with the injuries and the lack of squad depth, and they lose Mo Salah, they need the points now. They don't need it in January and February. They need them now. So I think now, because of their draw today, their game against Arsenal means a little bit more, because they can't drop any more points, especially after Man City dropping points.
Also, it's very psychological, right, with Liverpool. If Liverpool beat Arsenal, go top of the league, top at Christmas, usually guarantees you the title. I don't think it's going to guarantee anyone the title this season, because I think the title race is very tight. But it does help, like, to have that confidence going into sort of the Christmas break. But I think the draw today benefits us massively. I haven't put nothing on Twitter. I was going to put something earlier, and I just didn't have a chance. But I thought the moment I see that draw, I went, right, they're going to rest up people for us.
Mate, Alisson won't play. Trent won't play. Salah won't. Well, they won't start, I should say. Salah won't start. Nunes is useless.
He doesn't go against us.
Clip it up. I think we've got a real chance, even to draw the game and win on penalties.
Agree. I
actually think we could win it in 9. I mean, to be honest, with the exception of, the problem is it's at Anfield, isn't it? I mean, if we'd got the home draw, I mean, we beat them. Was it last season or season before when we were at home?
Yeah.
It's a shame it was an away draw, but ultimately, if we can get past them, I fancy us with the EFL Cup, and I think if we can win that, we've qualified for Europe. So it would be ideal, because if you think about it, it puts less pressure on the league, because the cup final, if we make it there, is in February. We don't go back into the Europa League until March. and ultimately we could concentrate less on the league and maybe try and make the Europa League our thing in that latter end of the season. And if we're in the FA Cup by March, you just also don't know. So there could still be loads of games to play.
Who'd you have in goal if it went to pens? Would you sub the keeper if it went to pens?
I think Fabianski.
Fabs is going to be in goal, so I wouldn't.
I'll keep him in.
I'd keep him in. He's better in goal for penalties than Areola. So,
and the thing is, he's hungry, Fabianski. That's the one thing that no one really sort of mentions with him. He looks more hungry. I think.
Well, I just think of Areola versus freaking Blackburn and the gazillion penalties I watched just for us to lose. I mean, to be honest, I just think of that, and I'm like, I'd rather Fabianski in goal. Look,
well, he saved one, didn't he? He saved Enzo's one.
Yeah, true. I mean, he had 16 attempts.
Clive, we agree at last. Eddie Howe. Yeah, he says Eddie Howe. Hopefully, listen, on Wednesday night, I'm going to be straight. I just hope we can get the job done there. Yeah. If we do beat Liverpool and get to a semi-final, like this is like whoever. Like, do you know what? I fancy us against anyone in a two-legged affair.
Newcastle,
I really can. With the injuries they've got right now and everything, I wouldn't say no to it. I think when West Ham are on it, we're a good side. I think we're a very good side when we're on it. Yeah. Only problem
I was about to say Newcastle's injuries. It makes it an interesting one. I would rather we still got Chelsea because I think Chelsea are just absolute dog shit at the moment.
Yeah. I think Chelsea be wanting to try and do something in the league. I will say that. Right, let's wrap this up then, gentlemen. Dean, thank you very much for coming on, mate. I really do appreciate it.
Anytime.
No worries, mate. You're always welcome on E20. Clive, thank you as always. My final sort of thought is this: West Ham get it done 3-0 against Wolves today. I'm going to be honest, I'm really, really pleased. Last two games, I've seen a different West Ham. Not going to lie. After the 5-0 destruction at West London the other week, confidence would have been shot to shit. But two good wins, like clean sheet. Can't ask for any more than that. I'm not going to lie. Do you know what I mean? So Wednesday night, Liverpool, tough game, but we love tough games. And listen, if there's one thing about West Ham I know, they always surprise you. So please do surprise us at Anfield. Do you know what I mean? On the 20th, it will go a long way to making our Christmas great. Please do smash a like on the video, subscribe to E20 Zone TV, and I will see you again in the next one. Bye-bye.